Welcome back to the podcast de Philippe. We're taking a deep dive today into a question that I think is super interesting, and that's what's in store for the future of these big tech companies like,
Hmm.
your Googles and your Amazons and Apples of the world.
Right.
And you see all these headlines about how Gen Z is just like totally over tech.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you see all these other sources that are like, no, no, no. Gen Z is still super into coding and
Hmm.
wants to be, developers.
Hmm.
So we're going to kind of try to unpack all that and see what's what and what Gen Z really wants and how that's going to shape the future of tech.
I think it's safe to say it's a little bit more complicated than just Gen Z hates tech. It seems like more of a changing of the guard or a changing of priorities than, a total rejection.
Yeah, so let's start with this whole Exodus thing.
Sure.
We have an article here from jexvideo.com, and they found that like a huge 76% of Gen Z say that job security is more important to them than the supposed glamour of tech.
Oh, well.
And Google, which used to be like the #1 dream employer for new grads,
Hmm.
they've like totally fallen from grace
Mhm.
and are now #7.
Wow.
And what I think is even more interesting is they're even saying that stability is more important than making a lot of money.
Huh. That's interesting.
So it's like they're not even chasing the big bucks anymore.
Yeah, and I think you really have to look at, what's going on in the world to understand that. Like, the pandemic happened, right? And these Gen Zers saw all this craziness with the economy, like companies laying people off left and right and hiring freezes and like whole industries just getting totally messed up. I think that's really had a big impact on them and how they see their careers. And it's made them look for things that feel more safe and secure.
It's almost like they're seeing the tech dream kind of fall apart before their eyes.
Yeah.
You know that whole thing about ping pong tables and free snacks and making tons of money?
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem as appealing anymore when you're worried about getting burned out or
Yeah.
ending up in a job that you just hate.
Yeah, totally. And you see that reflected in like the kinds of jobs they are going for now. Like there's a big increase in interest in things like healthcare education, even public service.
Yeah.
Things that feel like they're really making a difference in the world.
Right. So it's like they want a job that has meaning too.
Totally.
But this is where things get kind of weird
Mm.
because we have all these other sources here, like this one that's citing itforbusiness.fr. And they're saying that 90% of Gen Z thinks developers are going to be like super important in the next 5 years. And a crazy 56% of them want to learn how to code. So like, what's the deal? How do you explain those two things at the same time?
I think it's about looking beyond the surface. It's not that they don't like tech, it's that they want something different from a tech career than maybe previous generations did.
So it's not just about the code. It's about like the bigger picture.
Exactly. They want to know that their work has purpose, that they'll have a good work-life balance, and that they'll keep learning and growing. And this isn't just in tech, it's like a whole societal shift,
Okay. So it's like they're totally changing the rules of the game.
pretty much.
So how are these tech giants dealing with all this?
Yeah.
That's what we're going to talk about next.
Yeah. It's really interesting to see how some of these tech companies are already starting to change things up. Like, I was reading about how some places are experimenting with 4-day work weeks and giving people way more options to work remotely.
It's like they're finally realizing that that whole, 9 to 5 office grind just isn't going to cut it with this generation. But it seems like it's more than just perks. It's about understanding that Gen Z really values flexibility and autonomy.
For sure. They've grown up in a world where, you can work from anywhere at any time.
Yeah.
But it's also about what kind of work they're actually doing.
Yeah, like I'm seeing a lot in our sources about how Gen Z is getting more and more interested in stuff like renewable energy and sustainable agriculture and social entrepreneurship. It's like they don't just want a job. They want to feel like they're doing something meaningful.
Absolutely. And this is where I think these tech giants have like a huge opportunity. I mean, they've got all these resources and they reach so many people and they're so good at tech. They could really make a difference in tackling some of the world's biggest problems.
Yeah, like imagine if Google or Amazon really put their AI and data analysis skills to work on like climate change or global poverty. That would be pretty amazing. And I bet it would attract a lot of Gen Z talent.
Definitely. It would show that they're not just about making money, but that they actually care about making the world a better place. But attracting them is only half the battle. They also need to create a culture where those Gen Zers feel like they can grow and learn and develop their skills.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, this generation has grown up with like instant access to information and online learning. They're used to learning new things all the time, and they're good at it.
Yeah. Exactly. So those old school models of professional development where you have like One performance review a year and maybe a couple of training sessions just aren't going to cut it. They need to have opportunities to learn new things all the time and get mentoring and feel like they can experiment and innovate.
So it's about creating an environment where they feel empowered.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another really important point, which is diversity.
Oh, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
This is the most diverse generation ever. And they're bringing all those different perspectives and experiences with them to the workplace.
Which is so important for innovation. The tech companies that can create truly inclusive and equitable workplaces are going to be the ones that attract the best and brightest people from all different backgrounds.
So it's not just about adapting to Gen Z's values. It's about really embracing the richness and diversity they bring to the table.
Exactly. And that goes beyond just hiring a diverse workforce. It's about creating a culture of belonging where everyone feels valued and respected and empowered to contribute their unique talents.
That's a whole new way of thinking. And I think it has the potential to really transform the tech industry.
I agree. It's not just about attracting Gen Z, it's about learning from them and creating a future that works for everyone.
This has been a really fascinating conversation.
Mm-hmm.
We've learned so much about how Gen Z is changing the game in tech. They're not just demanding different perks or different ways of working. They're demanding a whole different kind of work.
Right.
Work that has meaning and impact and aligns with their values.
And they're bringing their digital fluency and their desire to learn and their commitment to diversity with them.
Yeah. But there's one more piece to this puzzle that we need to talk about. And that's how Gen Z's unique relationship with technology is shaping the very nature of work itself.
Yeah, that's a big one.
So stay tuned as we explore how Gen Z is not just changing the game, but creating a whole new playing field for the future of tech.
You know, it's amazing when you think about it. Gen Z has grown up with technology that lets them learn and adapt so much faster than any generation before them. I mean, they're constantly taking in information, experimenting with new tools, and connecting with experts from all over the world.
It's like the barriers to learning have just been like totally shattered. They've got this incredible amount of knowledge and resources right there at their fingertips.
Exactly. And that has huge implications for the future of work. Like, we're already seeing a rise in alternative paths to tech careers, like coding boot camps and online certifications. These programs let people acquire in-demand skills really quickly without having to go through a traditional four-year degree.
It's like tech education is becoming democratized. It's opening up opportunities for people from all kinds of backgrounds and socioeconomic statuses.
Right, and this shift is being accelerated even more by Gen Z's embrace of online learning platforms and self-directed education. They're not waiting for someone to teach them, they're taking charge of their own learning journey.
So how does all this translate into actual jobs and skills that will be valuable in the future of tech?
Well, one area that really stands out is the intersection of technology and human interaction. As AI and automation become more sophisticated, there's going to be a growing need for people who can bridge the gap between humans and machines.
So we're talking about jobs that require both technical expertise and strong people skills.
Exactly. Think about fields like user experience design, human-computer interaction, AI ethics. These are areas where understanding human behavior and psychology is just as important as understanding algorithms and data structures.
It's mind-blowing to think that Gen Z's digital fluency could lead to entirely new jobs that we haven't even thought of yet. They're not just using technology, they're creating it and innovating with it.
Absolutely. And their understanding of emerging technologies like virtual reality, augmented reality, and the metaverse is going to be essential in shaping the next wave of technological advancements.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive. We started by exploring this seeming contradiction in Gen Z's relationship with tech. But what we've discovered is a generation that's not turning away from technology, but redefining it.
They're demanding more from their employers, from their work, and from the technology they use.
They're pushing the boundaries of what's possible and forcing us to rethink what work even means.
And in doing so, they're shaping a future that's more inclusive, more purpose-driven, and ultimately more human-centered.
So if traditional jobs are becoming less appealing, what new roles will emerge in the world of tech? What skills will be most valuable in this rapidly changing landscape? We want to hear from you. Share your predictions with us on social media, and let's keep this conversation going. And don't forget to subscribe to Le Podcast de Philippe on YouTube and like our video. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.